Good evening, everyone. Time for another silver update. Now, this is the 8-hour chart of silver provided by netdania.com. You can click on the link below. Sorry for not getting updates out recently. I caught a nasty bug and was pretty much laid up in bed for 2 days straight. So that's why things haven't been updated. Now, I know there have been some login issues and other issues. I'm catching up on email, so please bear with that as I get caught up on things. Now, we had a smackdown, we had a breakdown. The trend line we've been watching very closely is this nearly year or so old trend line that we tested recently at that 23 point. You can see we corrected down to about 2050 or so. And then we had a breakdown below the lower trend line, and we appear to be attempting to find new lows here. One of the key points is going to be where we're at right here at 20.6 or so, because that was the top that we broke out of in the last rally. Are we going to go down and test that 18? I don't know. I put up a poll. You've seen the poll on the member site. It's about 50-50 in opinions as to whether or not we're going to get a new low. It's just craziness. The things that are going on in the world are absolutely insane. There's just no accounting for the insanity. Now, we're going to look at, in this update, we're going to look at the Marxist lunatics in Venezuela. And these people, the only way to describe them are lunatics. And unfortunately, we have a number of Marxist lunatics in the United States. I'm not going to name any names. You can probably figure out who that is. But let's look at this guy, this Maduro guy. This is the guy that replaced Chavez, and it's just absolutely crazy. If you haven't heard the story, they have this DACA store, which is, it's the equivalent of the Best Buy of Venezuela, which has your consumer electronic items, your big screen TVs and stuff like that. So Zero Hedge covered it earlier, the story that he'd actually put troops in these stores, accusing them of exploiting the people by raising prices. And what happened was that the people ended up seeing that as an opportunity to loot. You can see the quote from President Maduro was, "Leave nothing on the shelves, nothing in the warehouses, let nothing remain in stock." Now, I think his intent was that they buy at these frozen prices to clean them out, but I think the people got a little different message. Let's look at this video here.
Esta es la Venezuela que queremos.
So that's the result of having a Marxist lunatic in charge of your country. Now here's a video here of our Marxist lunatic Maduro, and El Presidente here is on a bike ride.
Realizaron en Lara en el año 2001, pues inició esa visión deportista de construir y arreglar esta actividad y de arreglar, por supuesto, cada una de las instalaciones con el propósito. Lara en el año 2001, pues inició esa visión.
Oh, we had to cut away the camera there because it looks like El Presidente crashed and burned, took out the whole crowd. So that's what happens when you have a country run by a Marxist lunatic. Things are going to crash and burn real quick. Of course, we know the reason why there's so much inflation, and that's because of the government. And but of course, Marxist lunatics will never give you the real reason why there are problems, because they're the problem. But let's go over and look at an article from Marxist.com. Yes, there actually are people still on the planet who believe in Marxism as a system. I know that may be astounding to many of you, that a system that has ended in utter collapse and failure everywhere it's been tried is still embraced. Of course, really pretty much only embraced by university nutcases in the West. But let's look and see their explanation here of the situation that Venezuela finds itself in, and you're going to find out that Marxists just aren't lunatics, but they're actually very, very dangerous lunatics, and that's why you have to watch out for them. In recent days, President Maduro has rightly explained the seriousness of the economic war against the Bolivarian revolution, pointing out that the culprits are the capitalists, and has announced a series of measures to address it. The situation is serious. Inflation has soared, reaching 54% from January to October of this year and 74% year on year. The shortage index has hit a record high of 22%. I think they're maybe having a shortage of those big screen TVs that they now just looted out of DACA. They'll have to add that to that. What is behind these figures? Inflation, hoarding, overpricing, speculation, flight of capital. Boy, I would imagine a lot of capitalists would be encouraged to keep their money in a country where the president of the country encourages people to loot businesses. Corruption, investment strikes, and other problems affecting the workers and the people have their origins in the way the capitalist system itself works. Well, wait a minute. I thought this was a socialist paradise. Why are these problems happening in the socialist paradise? It must be those evil outside capitalists that are causing these problems. The aim of the capitalists is not to produce in order to meet the needs of society. Really? But to make profits. Thus, if they can make bigger profits by using dollars from Khedive at the official exchange rate to import goods and then sell them at a price fixed in bolivars according to the exchange rate of the parallel black market dollar, they will. Yeah, and probably a lot of those people who were looting those big screen TVs will end up selling them on the parallel black market as well. The reason you have a parallel black market is because you have a criminal government run by a Marxist lunatic who has pegged the currency at an unrealistic rate and has created black markets. Continuing, if they can make a profit by getting dollars from Khedive for importation and then bringing containers full of scrap metal while selling the dollars in the black market, again, they will. This is part of the normal functioning of the capitalist system. The nature of the bourgeois class drives them to get bigger profits at whatever cost, and therefore they cannot allow any regulation of their profit margins. In fact, one of the reasons for the economic war is the revolt of the capitalist class against price and foreign exchange controls. So the problem is not price and foreign exchange controls. The problem is the capitalist class is revolting against them. The other reason is deliberate sabotage for political reasons. Products are removed from the market in an organized manner in order to cause economic distress so that the Bolivarian people blame the government for the problems. It is exactly the same tactic used by the capitalists and imperialism during the Allende government in Chile, 1971 to 1973, in preparation for the Pinochet coup. Nixon gave instructions to make the economy scream. The third reason is the fact that capitalists do not feel that their investments are safe because of the very existence of the Bolivarian Revolution, which has given the working class confidence in its own strength. That is, a capitalist will not invest in improving productive capacity nor to increase it unless he or she is sure that the workers, encouraged by the government, will not organize a socialist workers' council demanding better conditions and wages or demanding the expropriation of the company. The economic warfare is an open battle between the workers and the people on the one hand, who by a large majority have repeatedly expressed support for the Bolivarian Revolution and want to go towards socialism, and the oligarchy on the other hand, a parasitical minority of capitalists. Now, keep this phrase in mind. You're going to start seeing these phrases bandied about the United States as the socialists here begin to see similar failures in their system. They're going to be looking for scapegoats. Minority of capitalists, landowners, bankers, and speculators closely linked to imperialist interests. Given the situation, there is no room for half measures or appeals to the responsibility of the bosses. Capitalist market regulation cannot produce the desired effects either. The experience of the Bolivarian Revolution, particularly since the bosses' lockout and sabotage of the economy in 2002, proves one thing. Concessions and appeals to the bourgeoisie have always been met with ever-increasing sabotage and conspiracy. The attempt to regulate prices and profits will only increase sabotage, the investment strike, and flight of capital. The only way to respond to this criminal and anti-democratic campaign on the part of the ruling class is with strong measures and an iron fist. The bourgeoisie must be deprived of the economic power they use to ignore the democratic will of the majority. In other words, the FSA, the Free Stuff Army. The Marxist tendency class proposes the following measures. State monopoly of foreign trade. We can continue to give dollars to the bourgeoisie. Whatever Venezuela needs to import, the state should import it and distribute it through state distribution channels. Workers control of production. Workers produce all the wealth and know where and how it is distributed. They have the knowledge to prevent economic sabotage and should exercise revolutionary vigilance throughout the production process. Now, they know where all the wealth is produced and distributed. Do they produce those big screen TVs they were looting out of that store? I suspect those were imported from China. It probably takes some hard currency to buy those. People's control of the food and basic products distribution chain. The working people organized through the communes together with socialist workers' councils in the factories, and the militia must exercise control over the supply, distribution, and sale of basic products. Any company which sabotages production or distribution shall be immediately expropriated under workers' control. Expropriation under workers' control of monopoly big business that control the production and distribution of food started with Polar Industries, which has participated actively in all the plots against the revolution in the last 10 years. Socialist workers' councils, cooperatives, and peasant organizations, the communes and the militia, must organize the people's provisioning juntas in every neighborhood and parish. These juntas should be linked up and coordinated at the municipal, state, and national levels through democratically elected and recallable delegates. This will set the basis for the expropriation of the big monopolies, bank, and big landed estates. Note that. They're talking about coming and taking people's property, which would allow the democratic planning of the economy to the benefit of the majority of society. In the words of Ezekiel Zamora, quote, "What has to be sequestered is the property of the rich, because with it they wage war against the people. We shall leave them with nothing but their shirts, end quote. Neither pax nor compromise with the capitalists. All power to the working class. Expropriate the oligarchy. So these are the types of madmen that we're talking about. Now, if you think that these people are only in Venezuela, you're desperately wrong. These people are actually all around the world. The very, very rich, they support people like this. It's a hard thing for people to understand, but some of the very top people support socialism because socialism gives them monopolies in certain markets, and they can eliminate the competition. Once they've eliminated the competition, they can actually lock in more profits. But this type of dangerous Marxist thinking is what we're going to see more of in the increasingly Marxist European Union, the increasingly Marxist America, Canada, Australia. But the fact that we would have a president of a country encouraging the people to loot businesses, and the collapse can't be that far away for this country. Unfortunately, it appears that these type of madmen will encourage violence, and things will be very bloody before it's over. Now, back to the silver chart. This is also the result of economic madmen. This is not the result of capitalism. The price of silver has nothing to do with capitalism. If you have a state-issued and state-controlled currency, and the value of the markets, stock markets, bond markets, currency markets, and of course here we have precious metal markets, are controlled and dictated by the government, that is not capitalism. That is the exact opposite of capitalism, and that's what we have today. Now, we know that these Marxist lunatics always fail. They've never succeeded, and that's because the system they believe in goes against human nature. It has not ever worked. It cannot ever work. It always ends in an iron fist and gulags. They know this. We know this. But they're determined to let this play out and see how far they can take it. In the United States, I don't really know what their plan is. Perhaps they intend to collapse the entire system and blame it on the capitalists. I doubt that they're going to be able to get away with that, but it appears to be something that they're going to try. Now, we had Janet Yellen come out and indicate that there's going to be more tapering or more quantitative easing and probably no tapering. Of course, the Fed is always giving hints one way or the other, and that gives an opportunity to do these massive sell-offs. It doesn't really matter what the particular news item is. They use it. You can see the volume always comes in at about 8:30 in the morning when there's some kind of economic release. They use that as an opportunity to crush the precious metal prices. But we know that you can't manipulate markets forever. If you go and break into someone's store and station troops there and force them to sell their products at a loss, it's highly unlikely that they are going to order more from overseas and pony up the cash, the hard currency, to import those products and then sell them again at a loss. It just doesn't work. Socialism, Marxism is a system of lunatics, and it can never work. But that's the economic system we're moving towards. Venezuela is probably way ahead of us in this because they're going to find out that that system results in poverty and a complete collapse of the system. Hopefully, at that point, they can become something like Chile, remake their system into some type of free market system, and have some kind of wealth for their people again. And we'll talk to you next time.